This video presentation is brought to you by the Pro Mathematics Academy. Welcome back to this video presentation brought to you by the Pro Mathematics Academy. In this video, we are continuing our series on the circle, right? Where we're talking about the parts properties and measures, right? So here in this video, we'll be looking at the chord, tangent, and secant of a circle, right? And we start off by talking about a chord. So when we talk about a chord, what do we mean by a chord of a circle? Right, so the definition of a chord is any line segment, right, which touches 2 points on the circumference of the circle. So right, I'm going to take this chance to put in some chords. So if we're looking at these drawings that I'm putting in right now, what we'll see each time is that I am putting in a chord. So each of these line segments that are going from one side of the circle to the other side are all chords, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to identify the point which is in the center of the circle, right? And if I take my pencil here and I draw a line segment which passes through that center, then this is called our diameter. So the important question here is the diameter a chord of a circle? Now, a lot of persons don't get this right on their first attempt. All right, but let's think about the definition of the diameter. The diameter is any line segment which touches 2 points on the circumference of the circle but passes through the center. And then let us think about what the definition of a chord is. A chord is any line segment that touches 2 points on the circumference of a circle. So therefore, if we have a chord that passes through the center, then that chord must be a diameter. So therefore, the answer to this question is yes. The diameter is a special chord, okay? Okay, so let's move right along to the next part, which we want to study, right? Here we have what is called a tangent, and the definition of a tangent is any line, right? Here, notice that I didn't say line segment. I said line because there's a difference between a line segment and a line. So here we're saying a tangent is any line which touches the circumference of the circle once, right? So here, notice that I have one example of a tangent here. So this line that we're seeing is an example of a tangent, and here it's touching the circle only once at this point, and this is called the point of tangency. Okay, that's very important. So once we have a tangent, there must be a point of tangency. Notice that this is not an example of a tangent, even though this is touching the circumference of the circle only. Once we have something looking like this, then we have a tangent. But if we have something that is intersecting the circle like that, then that is not a tangent. As a matter of fact, we'll get on to the secant, which will better explain what something like this is, okay? But we're not finished with tangency as yet, right? So let me put in some more tangent lines so we can get a better understanding. So here we have another example of a tangent, right? So tangents are basically lines that touch the circumference of the circle only once, okay? So let's put in one more here. And by now we should recognize, right, that these points are the points of tangency. Okay, so once we have a tangent line, we must have a point of tangency. Okay, and note that here, this is not a tangent. Okay? Right, moving right along to what we call secants. Now notice that here, right, I'm going to start off with the definition. I know we can see the secant line drawn right here, right? Notice that a secant line, right? Let's put in our definition. So we say a secant is a line that intersects the circle twice. Okay, so any line drawn that intersects the circle twice, then that line is a secant line. Okay, nice. So let's look at some examples. Here I'm drawing in some more secant lines for us. Right? And if we observe this closely, we should see something happening. Right? I don't want to just tell you as yet. Okay? Is there a relationship between the tangent and the secant? Yes. Now, what is that relationship? What we see here is that each of these secant lines, as I move them closer and closer to the circumference, right? If I just move it down a bit, what we realize is that that secant can become a tangent. So let's write that. A secant can become a tangent if shifted, okay? So we want to make a note of that. If shifted so that the 2 points become 1 point. So this is very important here, guys, right? This is the main thing we want to recall or remember when we're dealing with secants, okay? So a secant is a line that intersects the circle twice, right? But it can become a tangent. That is it for this video. Please remember to hit the notification bell, like, share, and subscribe for future post notification.